Alright, today we're having a look at Assault on Station 66 by Hirunda. Alright, so here we're on Assault Station 66 by Hirunda, and interesting that this has been chosen. Okay. This has been chosen as a team pick, actually, even though the level is not yet quite complete, so that is kind of cool. Now, it seems to be a story-based level, and we gotta get rid of these glorbs. And since it is a Hirunda level... no. Oh, I don't want to do that. Crumbs. It's the Paintinator. And we love the Paintinator. And Hirunda is, like, straight up king of Paint Nation. With no doubts, no questions. I'm not really reading too closely Cosmonaut Dave's story, which will probably stitch us up later on, but I do want to try to show off as much of the level as we possibly can. But if you are not following or have not been following Hirunda's work, he's got a set of levels called Paint Fair, and some really amazing weaponry that's going on with that. So I'm really happy to see this one. Red neon kills instantly, but your space, you can jump super high. Good thing that I read that one. I'm really happy. Crumbs! Low gravity. Gotta love it. Gotta love that low gravity. I'm happy to see progress going on with this, because it's supposed to be a big ol' adventure. And there are gonna be a number of levels that are connected together eventually. Unfortunately, not now. Not as yet. Now, the title page did tell us that it's gonna be... Glorps, Glorps, you gotta go away. No, there are so many Glorps. Oh, but we've got... This is good. Yes. I didn't realize it was an automatic. Eventually, there are gonna be all these levels are gonna be tied together. Currently, you can play the boss battleground for Paint Fair, and it is really, really quite neat. You get to see a lot of Hirunda's power-up work, and the power-ups are just... divine. There to die for. This level as well, I'm enjoying it an awful lot so far. We got more glorps. I like the mixture of platforming and actual, like, Paintinator fighting. I think that's actually really quite cool. Are you... You're not the Cosmonaut, you're just something else. Wait, do these bounce? They look like they kind of bounce, but they didn't. I also really like the HP over our head. I do wonder if it might be a little bit better to ghost that out, just so that it's not constantly on the screen, but maybe just have it come on. Oh, that's going to be kind of hard to do, though, because it's being done with, fudge. Crumbs! We're going to have to talk about what it's being done with back in the hub, but we'll see you there. See ya! And we're back. And, Assault on Station 66 by Hirunda. And I'd say it's a pretty good green circle. There's one point in the level and a few minor points in the level that I think might make it a bit of a softer greener circle, a little bit more of your mileage may vary. But still, I thought it was great. I had a really, really good time with it, and I think that y'all will as well. One little word of warning going into the level, still doesn't have very many plays yet, which is kind of surprising because it's picked up as a team pick, but it's beefy. It's a big beefy level. The first time I played through was about 20 minutes. The second time I played through was 23 minutes or so. So definitely budget your time on this one. You don't want to get like halfway through and then, you know, not be able to finish out the level because, you know, you don't have the time to do it. So that is one thing to kind of point out. It's not a point against the level, it's just a point to keep in mind. But I really enjoyed just about everything about the level. Now, we've featured Hirunda on episodes before, Little Bite-Sized Planet, and also, I think, way back in Roughly 50 Minutes Fresh, maybe? I don't know, it's a long time ago. And one thing that I've always been amazed at with Hirunda's work is the attention to minor detail on those power-ups. We've got a pair of power-ups here. We've got one that it's called the Otherworldly Gun, and it shoots off like a submachine gun. It's an automatic rifle, and that's one that we played with in the video for the most part. But there's another gun as well. It's like a Mega Man blaster, almost, where you charge it up. It's a bit trickier to use, I've found. It's a little bit more risk-reward, because if you miss the shot, then you're stuck charging it again. You can tap shoot it, but the individual blasts don't really have a lot of power. If you're feeling that you're not, like, super good at aiming with Paintnator style or power-up style guns, you might want to stick with the otherworldly gun, because I got a lot more mileage out of that one. But the guns look beautiful, and the actual shooting effect looks really, really cool. It hides very well, and I'm really not sure how this works. I'm gonna have to ask Hirunda one of these days, but it hides really well the fact that they are shooting out little paint blobs. You know, the actual Paintnator blobs, because you got the hello! You've got the electricity blasts that are kind of covering that up, and I thought that was really neat, thought that was really cool. Now, one kind of minor, it's not really a downside, but it's just the way that LBP kind of handles paint as a sticker. If you have a costume that has stickers on it, if you've decorated your own costume with stickers, once you get enough paint on the costume, it will erase off the previous stickers, so you want to save your costume before going into the level, just so that you can put it back on if you've put a lot of work into that costume, like this stickering with my costume. You'll definitely want to have it saved as like a favorite, so that you can just pop it back on afterwards. But moving on, the level itself, the environment itself, I thought was really quite cool. It's well detailed, it's well decorated, but also you still have a pretty clear sense that this is an LBP environment, and I like that an awful lot. I like that kind of mix up of it. It's not going for like a super realistic style environment. I thought that was kind of cool. There's a lot of moving effects that are going on when you're going through the level, which is something that I always appreciate. There's one really, really cool sequence. There's a couple of like mid-boss type UFOs that you'll fight, and those UFOs will summon enemies, and you gotta kill them. You shoot them enough times, the UFO blows up. You could probably farm those UFOs to get a score that's better than my score, or the current top score, which I think is like 30-66. But anyways, in the secondary fight with the UFO, and you're in this kind of like living quarters, and that living quarters area is pretty cool. The cutscene that leads up to the fight is pretty neat. But the UFO blasts through the window in the background, and so all the air rushes out, and you get kind of a low gravity section in there. Then once you've defeated the UFO, blast shutters actually come down to close that off. Little details like that I think are really, really cool, and this level is full of a lot of little details like that. The platforming for the most part is not too difficult. It's not going to be the thing that trips you up, I think, in this level. The fighting as well, except for the final boss, we'll talk about that in a minute. Fighting as well is not really difficult. You've got a couple of different types of glorbs, and they've got different, you know, shooting patterns that they're going to be, well, shooting at you with. I don't want to say that they're easy to handle, because that's not necessarily the truth, but they're not going to be excessively stressful, I think. Now, I did mention that final boss, and the final boss is really, really cool. Again, the cutscene that goes up to that final boss is relatively humorous. I like the writing in it. I like kind of the animation of the characters going in the cutscene. I thought was nice. But the boss itself, it's got some really nice bullet patterns. It's got a couple of different phases, a couple of different attacks that you'll have to be juggling. And it's just really well put together. And it's got this really nice like boss introduction, almost like a title screen going on, and I thought that was really, really cool. So there's all this really great stuff going on in the level, but I did mention that there was one thing that would kind of maybe pull this level down a little bit for you, depending, and that's there's a minigame section, minigame-esque section in the middle of it that you need to complete to progress. You'll be piloting a ship, and you'll rotate the ship with the left stick, and you're going to be using the X button to give thrust to the ship. It's really, really easy to get that ship to spin into walls. It's very finicky. It's very persnickety. Now, we're warned about that before that section happens. That's just how the ship handles. But 90% of the deaths that I had in this level were in that section. I did feel, to an extent, unless you're good at that type of control scheme, unless you're good at, you know, that arcade style action, I suppose you'd say, it's going to be kind of like a time sink in the level, and it does, I felt that it pulled down the flow of the level fairly significantly. Now, if you're somebody that type of flying is no problem at all, you're going to breeze through that. It's going to be no problem at all. You're going to be wondering, why was Risco complaining about that? So it's, I think, very much a player skill and a player comfort point. But yeah, for me at least, it really slowed the level down to a crawl, and I felt almost like the concept was really, really cool, and I enjoyed it in a sense, but I felt like it almost would have been better to give away as like a minigame like we would have had in LBP 1 or LBP 2. There's a couple minigames in LBP 3, but I forget them, frankly, because they were maybe not that great, not good enough to stick in my mind. But that was the one point that I think, as far as player enjoyment, might bring it down just a little bit. But all in all and overall, I had a great time with this level. I generally have a really fun time with work that Hirunda is doing. I'm looking forward to seeing, you know, more of these full and robust levels from Hirunda. It mentions at the end there's a bit of like a wall of text that's going to be taken out once the level is actually fully 100% complete, explaining that, you know, because of time constraints and all the different things that is trying to be implemented in this level, that it's kind of hard, well, in all the levels that is, it's kind of hard to get them done. So focusing just at least on this one to have something to give to the community, to give to players so that they could experience, was one way to kind of speed the process along. But we may never see the entirety of that adventure that Hirunda's got in mind, and that would definitely be a shame, because I'm really looking forward to it. I've really enjoyed both playing Hirunda's levels and having Hirunda as a presence in chat in our streams, because just is really good people. But I think I've probably talked enough. We're up to 12 minutes. That's a bit of a long one for an LBsP, but yeah, I had a lot to say. So from me, Risco, here in Osaka, or outer space, but really Osaka, to all of you out there, wherever you may happen to be, thank you, arigato, sayonara, see you, and ciao.